My name is Nisar. I am an author and a journalist. Let me make you a little nervous, Your Excellency. Thank you very much for your dissertation. Yeah. Kashmiris are up in arms because India is occupying Kashmir illegally. That's the reason why they are protesting. Now, given Mr. Trump's zeal for striking peace and peace deal, can Narendra Modi use his friendship with Donald Trump to solve out the problem of Kashmir? There are 1 million soldiers stationed in Kashmir to control 7 million Kashmiris. So what are you going to do about the Kashmir problem? Okay, you haven't spoken about it.
Can we just capture the question there? Thank you. And there is a similar one from Naomi Canton of the Times of India, pegged to the debate in the UK Parliament today mentioning Kashmir. All right, Kashmir, what are you going to do to solve it? Woman on the aisle in black and white, I think.
Oh, okay. Look, on Kashmir, actually we have done, I think, a good job solving most of it. I think removing Article 370 was step number one. Then restoring growth and economic activity and social justice in Kashmir was step number 2. Holding elections, which were done with a very high turnout, was step number 3. I think the part we are waiting for is the return of the stolen part of Kashmir, which is on the under illegal Pakistani occupation. When that's done, I assure you, Kashmir solved. The second question, Global South. You know, look, there are different ways of looking at it, and I give you a perspective. What do countries in Global South largely want? They want more options. They want more experiences to compare, relatable experiences. They would like to get into relationships which actually help them build their society on a sustainable basis. So forget India, China for a moment. I think what is happening and is that much of the Global South in the previous decades had very limited options. You know, they either had Western options, they had multilateral development banks which were in a way associated with it. Within the Western options, they had maybe some subsets out there. Then at some point they had Soviet/Russian options. Then you had a set of China options. Now today, if there are Indian options, I would argue that actually it's better for the Global South. It's not worse, because they now have many more possibilities to choose from. They will be in a position to evaluate which of these options and which of these relationships somewhere fit into their growth aspirations. And I can certainly say, you know, where India is concerned, we have today projects in almost 80 countries of the Global South. We have delivered actually about 600 significant projects in the last many years. And I do think that by doing so, I mean, obviously the partner country is benefited, but it also strengthens the hands of the partner country in dealing with other relationships. So I would not put this negatively at all. In fact, just like I say for India's positioning, a multipolar world is helpful, I think for Global South as well, I think a multipolar world is helpful, and it actually increases their negotiating ability. The last question, you know, what kind of relationship we want with China. You know, look, we actually have, by any standards, a very, very unique relationship. I mean, first of all, we are the only 2 billion plus populated countries in the world. We have, both of us, a very long history. We've had the ups and downs in our history. You have today both countries on an upward trajectory. And here's the challenge. And it so happens we are actually direct neighbors. So the challenge is this, that when any country rises, its balances with the world and with its neighbors obviously change. Now, when two countries of this size, this history, this complexity, this consequence rise broadly in parallel, and obviously they have an interplay with each other, I think the issue is how do you create stable equilibriums and then transition into the next set of equilibriums or next phase of equilibriums. And we want a stable relationship, but we want a relationship where our interests are respected, where our sensitivities are recognized, where it works for both of us. So I think that is really been the challenge in the relationship. And obviously, for us, because of the border, for us, the management of the border, the assumption for the last 40 years has been that there must be peace and tranquility in the border areas if the relationship is to grow. If the border is unstable or is not peaceful or is not tranquil, obviously it will have consequences on the growth and direction of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's just squeeze in a few more hands than ever. All right, I'm going to the gentleman right in the middle who's been very patient.
Anis Nasser, retired banker. Dr. Jaishankar, one huge question for you. A lot of talk has been emanating from BRICS group to replace dollar and have its own payment system. Do you think, in view of fast-changing demographic in respect of politics and economics, is this likely to happen in the next 5-10 years?
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Ashish Goyal right on the aisle here. Ashish, if you can wait for a microphone to come to you, which is coming now. Have you got it? Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jaishankar, for your thoughts. I'm Ashish Goyal. I'm a global macro investor. And I'm going to continue on this dollar theme, actually, because you spoke about the idea of multipolarity being a good thing, and that's where we are headed towards. So why not multipolarity of the dollar, as in the sense currencies across the world, payment systems across the world? And just one perspective is that if the US did not have the dollar reserve status, by now you would have trashed the currency, because look at the fiscal deficit, look at their external deficit, all of that. So I understand that that's been the stable guiding force for the last 80 years. But I think going forward, India needs to prepare itself for a multipolar world, even in the dollar settlement system or the currency system in the world. So would love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Okay, there's those two. And then I'm going to just take a different tack, because there really are quite a lot online about human rights. I'm going to say from Hamad Safraz saying, and he's speaking for many here online, India has positioned itself as the world's largest democracy, but concerns about its human rights record have been growing. The statement, how does India plan to address this issue? Does it acknowledge any shortcomings? And there are various others in that line, Shahid Ahmed as well. There is a cluster. So we have dollar and we have human rights.
I could take a few more. I could take a few more.
Okay.
Because my answers would be pretty short on both.
You don't know what I might then say. I will.